It's our guy, Eduardo Encina. Eduardo. Did you change your name from Eddie to Eduardo?
No, my name's always been Eduardo.
No, I mean on the screen on the.
No, it's always been Eduardo.
Really?
That's my byline. So here's the thing: if you know me as Ed, you probably know me very casually as like, we interact and stuff like that. Eduardo is my byline, so that's how I know that people read my stuff.
I got it.
And then Eddie is basically what my parents used to call me when I was a kid. So if you know me way back in the day, you probably know me as Eddie. And then there's Eddie in the Yard, which is my Twitter handle, X handle, whatever you want to call it these days.
I'm still staying with Twitter,
which I've kept over the years from my baseball days.
So what do I call you?
I don't know, Jay. What do you call me?
I call you Big Oos. What up, Oos? We just go in the press box and just start throwing up the ones in the press box. It's so funny.
Are you in a suite right now?
I am in suite 71 at Amalie Arena. This is going to be my new home. So if you're ever here and you don't go home between morning skate and the games, you can just come up here and do it.
I didn't know you were sticking around. I just saw everyone could see you coming. Everyone could see you coming today. So when I looked around and I didn't see any bright lights, I thought you were gone.
Here we go, buddy. The special lights for you. Ting, ting, ting. This is how we roll. This is how we bring Eddie. Oh, they're running out of battery. That means I got to charge them. That's what you got to do.
Charge them?
Yeah, this little thing right here is to put the little USB thing right here.
Don't be going like socks on us in the first intermission tonight or something like that.
No, I know, right? I'm gonna have to. I was like, I gotta charge them right now. But yeah, it's a lot of fun here covering the Tampa Bay Lightning because there's not too many of us. So
there's not too many of us.
When there's not too many of us, we can have a good time and just kind of do things like this. It feels a little more buttoned up. Maybe I wouldn't wear crazy ass shoes, but there you go. Cooper liked them, right? Kind of.
Did he like them, or was he taking advantage of a good sound bite /
If John Cooper can avoid the first couple of conversations in the morning skate by picking up a hockey stick or looking at somebody's shoes, he's gonna do that every single time. That's what's fun. I mean, it's good and he wasn't always like that. It's great to see him kind of evolve. But I guess one of the things we gleaned from him today, Ed, was it looks like Andrei Vasilevskiy could be back tonight. And then we see the news a little while ago that Jonas Johansson day-to-day with a lower body injury and Matt Tompkins gets called up. I'd be surprised if Matt Tompkins gets called up and, starts the game tonight. But when we didn't see Jonas Johansson on the ice today, especially after getting the start the other night, it was kind of like, all right, well, you see Kyle Conan, you see Andrei Vasilevskiy. I think signs point to Vazzy being back between the pipes tonight. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, some of this is probably a little bit of gamesmanship because you have the opportunity to have it. But the fact that Vazzy skated this morning, I think, says that he will start tonight. And obviously not seeing Jonas out there, obviously that was a question mark until we saw what we saw with the Matt Tompkins call up and the basically the news that Johansson is out day to day with a lower body injury. So a lot of pieces to put together at around 10:30 this morning when skate started, but I think it's kind of all coming a little bit clear here. But yeah, I mean, most of the time, I think Coops called him, a game time decision, but I think I'd be pretty surprised if we don't see Andrei Vasilevskiy lead out the team for pregame warmups tonight.
I'm with you. Also, Mikey Eyssimont was actually one of the last people on the ice today with J.J. Moser and Emil Lilleberg, and we know Lilleberg serving game 2 of his suspension tonight, so he won't be in there. Moser, he's back. He's around. He's playing some forward today. He's chilling. He probably won't be back until after the Four Nations. But Eyssimont looks like coming out of the lineup, that turnover, not turnover, but I just thought just a ill-timed penalty hitting Connor Bedard after it looked like he was just granting the Tampa Bay Lightning a power play with that tripping call. Coop didn't, even though we asked him about it, he didn't mention it after morning skate today, Double E. I call you Double E too. Mikey Eyssimont, is it kind of one of those things where he's paying the price for a team that needs to start making some smarter plays?
Well, I think, the way that I worded the question to Coop this morning was whether there were lineup changes. And obviously, I actually expected him to mention Isamont there. He did not. He went to the Vasilevsky part of it.
He did.
But
he knew what he was doing.
right. So but I do think that this is probably a little bit of a disciplinary thing with Mikey. It's tough because especially when you're a player like him who is a kind of an energy kind of guy who's gonna try to start stuff to kind of get his team involved. But at that point it's a 2-goal game.
Right.
Again, like you mentioned, you have the opportunity there to get their best player off the ice for 2 minutes and the opportunity more than anything to get this power play going. Whether it's a 2-game goal, 1-game goal, whatever, you want to take advantage of it. So definitely a brain cramp on Isamont's part. I like Mike Isamont's game. I like the way that he plays. I know he's struggled a lot this year with converting his chances, as have a lot of guys on that bottom six. But you just can't make that decision in the moment when it's not going to get you anything. So especially in a 2-goal game when you need every advantage you can, and the power play, like you said, is basically gift wrapped for you there within the final 4 minutes of the game. So it's especially this team has done well, especially recently in that when they've had that kind of 6-on-4 advantage. We saw it against a couple games ago where they scored a late 6-on-4 goal. Those are hard to do, but and they're even rarer the opportunities. So I think that's what's at play here. We haven't heard that officially from Coop yet, but I think kind of the writing's on the wall here because you can't really go 11-7 with the suspension to Lilleberg. So probably we see Cam Atkinson in there instead of.
So Zemgus Girgensons wasn't on the rink though today either. He wasn't on the ice yesterday for practice. So what would the line? So would that be 12? Am I doing the math wrong?
Well, if Z's out there, it would be 12, right? Because you have Atkinson, Z, you have Goncalves back in the lineup too. I think 3. Geeky.
Oh, Goncalves, that's the guy.
Goncalves, Paul, Girgensons.
So Girgensons is probably going to be out tonight. So let's just say you'll have Cooch, Point, and we'll just play the normal game. Cooch, Point, Gensel, right? We'll do Sorelli, Hagel, and Geeky.
Right.
And then it'll be Paul, Chafee, and Goncalves. Okay, and then Glendening. No Girgensons. Glendening. It'll be Glendening,
Atkinson. I never got the sense that Girgensons was a body maintenance thing yesterday.
Really?
That it was so. I mean, if that's the case, you only have 11. Girgensons is out. You only have 11 forwards there.
That's right.
Play Atkinson. So, I didn't think that Girgensons was an issue, but
not skating again today. That's why, right? Like because Cooch was off yesterday.
Yeah.
He's back in there today. But then when I didn't see Girgensons out there, I mean, what would they do? Right? I mean, they'd have to call somebody else back up. So, but if they're not calling anybody else up, that probably means the Girgensons will play.
Yeah. I mean, if you can get a guy up, you get a guy up, right? So
you probably would have done it by now, right?
And especially if you're already bringing a guy up with Tompkins. So, like you said, I mean, like again, right now with the Lilleberg suspension, you've only got 6 healthy D, right? So, with Carlisle in there and. So yeah, I mean, and at this point too, like there's so many different things that we don't necessarily know the ins and outs of as far as the cap and everything like that. Obviously we know from what Julian told us the other day that, they're trying to save as much money as possible, under that cap to invest in something at the trade deadline potentially. So, I mean, they're not doing this because they want to, they're doing these call ups. They're doing it because they need to.
What was your biggest takeaway from the fireside chat with Julian on Monday?
A lot of good things. I mean, Julian always is very forward about it. I mean, like we've discussed, it's interesting his perspective on the team right now in terms of, where they are statistically and they should have more points than maybe given the way they've played. But I thought it was interesting that he didn't really, I don't necessarily expect him to do so, but kind of say that they did need some depth scoring in terms of the forward group. I think that everyone can kind of point to that in terms of they're an extremely top heavy team. And, when you have players that have had those kind of years, and sometimes that's expected. And he kind of pointed to a league trend where, across the league that maybe that's the case with, other teams. But, when you're in a situation like this, where, when the well runs dry with the top 6 guys, that you're struggling scoring goals, something's got to come out of it. So, I still think that they're going to be very active on the trade front, but it will be like he said, it might not be till after the Four Nations, until when this trade market kind of evolves, and then you kind of look at what's out there. So, and the other part of it is that.
Oh, lost you. Let's get you back.
But there's a lot. Sorry, did I lose you there, Jay? For a second?
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Hold on, I can't hear you. Hold on. Can you hear me now? I can't hear you though.
Can't hear me? No. Oh boy.
I got a call here. Hold on.
Who did this happen with the other week? Oh, Gabby Shirley. It must be a lightning thing. Talking about the Tampa Bay Lightning. We lose it. Oh boy.
Hold on, I'll call you back, Jay. Hold on.
Call me back. Get out and get back in. That happens sometimes when people are on their phone and they get a phone call and they try to they exit out or they swipe up and they're like not able to get back and they can't hear me or we can't hear them. Last time we couldn't hear Gabby. This time Ed couldn't hear me. So that's just, the advances in modern technology, but we'll make it work. Double E Ed and Cena. Well, double E, another double E. I feel bad calling him double E. Should I? I shouldn't feel bad. All right, let's bring him back in. There you go, buddy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. So here's the thing. I call my editors because I want to talk to them before this, and then I don't get them, and then they call me back while I'm on this. And then so now I'm doing this on my phone, so
I was just saying when you left that I had the same problem with Gabby Shirley last week, but same thing. She got a phone call. It was her husband, but she could hear me and I couldn't hear her. So it was the opposite. So, but yeah, it's not just you, but so again, back to the fireside chat, like the thing with Julien BriseBois and, very transparent. We're very lucky that he does that. Like he doesn't have to do that. But I want to ask you this, because I was having this conversation with Dave Randolph earlier today. Is there any concern from you? Because I do have some concerns that they're so focused on, hey, the numbers tell us we're going to get better, that they're just kind of waiting for things. Like, to me, I don't mean that they need to overreact. I don't mean that they have to trade a bunch of guys and they have to I'm not a overreactor. I'm not a gloom and doom kind of guy. But, and I do feel there is a little something of, this team needs a little bit of a kick in the ass. They do need to show a little bit more character. We saw it the other night when Pat Maroon was here. It was like, they don't have that kind of guy, right? We know what his shortcomings. He doesn't, not the fleece the foot. He's an older guy. We get that. But there's also something to be said about a guy that he lifts everybody up and stands a little bit taller on the bench. We've heard Coop say that for many years. He makes the guys on the bench stand a little bit taller. We haven't heard that rhetoric this year from him. So is there a little bit of a concern that as much as this team thinks that just naturally they're going to progress to the mean, that they really need to kind of take control of this situation a little bit more and maybe do something tangibly to get them better?
Yeah, so I think, there's a couple things that when you mention that. One is, yes, the leadership dynamic of this group has dramatically changed over the past year. Like with no Steven Stamkos, who is always the guy that everyone automatically looked to say something. Like you said, they don't have those tough guys like Maroon that you said make you stand a little bit taller. There's some guys in development with, Lilberg and maybe geeky guys like that, but they're young guys. They're not going to be those. They're going to bring energy, but they're not going to do that kind of stuff that Pat does. But I do think that bringing the whole idea of like coming back to the mean of what statistically they should be is a little bit of of hope over reality a little bit.
Right.
And that whole process over outcome thing that they've, the narrative that they've really executed so well and believed by through the years, this is a part of it. Having said that, I do believe that this stretch of games in January has been abnormally brutal. The schedule that they've been on, the travel they've been on. I only covered 3 road games out of this stretch, and I'm beat. That part of it's real, and I know these guys make millions of dollars, and stuff like that, but that part of it is real, and I do, expect them to benefit from being at home, from being on the break. No doubt, the last game was disappointing, hugely disappointing in the fact that you need points in a game like that against that team in Chicago that has the second fewest points in the league, I believe. and you need those points. So I think that adds to a little bit of disappointment. We've seen his team go through those kind of phases and stuff like that, and there's always been something that kind of brings them back a little bit. And we saw this last year in early January when, they were in a much worse situation, I feel like, than they are now.
Right.
And they figured it out. So I do think that, you have this belief that it'll come around, and also you have this, you get back to basics a little bit. Yesterday they had a good practice. They really haven't had the opportunity to do that. I think they had 2 practice days all month up until yesterday. So I think both of them might have been on the road. So, the regularity of the schedule can kind of mean something. And I think there's a lot of hope that goes into that for sure. But yeah, I mean, so I do think that there's some people, some coaches and staff that are still going in there with that belief, that are still kind of shrugging their shoulders.
Right.
They're kind of like, there is something here that that might be missing,
I'm with you. Yeah. And I'm hoping that whether it's a guy called up or a guy just kind of taking his game to the next level, or a trade deadline acquisition like we saw last year when Julien did go out and get an Anthony Duclair and Matt Dumba. I know some people are talking about bringing Duclair back, but listen, let's not forget, he started out hot. He was with, but by the end, you barely saw him. He was a middle 6 guy. It's just, that's been the story of his career. I mean, he's just been inconsistent. Great guy, but just not consistent enough to warrant a top 6 role. So yeah, back in action tonight against the LA Kings. We just touched on a little bit of everything. I want to ask you about Royal Rumble coming up on Saturday night. Who is your pick to win it all, buddy?
I don't know, man. I there's so many good guys in this Rumble. It's like abnormally enticing because there's no real, I mean, I'm gonna say, I don't know, man. Like I think, I know this is gonna be like the fan pick or anything like that. But I mean, like, I'd like to see John Cena win,
Okay.
But, I mean, the WWE's made a lot of this, of his farewell tour, but we really haven't seen that much of him at the same time, and I know that's kind of all planned out, but I'd like to see him win. Rumble's so good though. I mean, like, we were at it last year and it's such a great event, and just the structure of it and how they've been able to keep it lively over the years and stuff like that. 2 years ago, I think everyone forgets that, the Rumble 2 years ago was the Sammy's chair hit on Roman that killed the bloodline. So whatever it is, I expect a good event. I expect it to be something that's memorable. So that's why I kind of think it could go that way. It's like a Cena or maybe a Punk or someone like that, who wins it. So what do you think?
So to me, I just start pairing off people, right? And I figure like what kind of storyline makes the most sense. And I'm looking at Cody Rhodes and CM Punk and why they ended Monday Night Raw the other night. And I'm kind of leaning in that direction. I thought it was going to be Roman, because you figure out who's going to pair off with who. The reason why I don't think it's going to be John Cena is because he's going to be in Elimination Chamber. So you would probably have him in that match. You're not going to have him in that match if he wins the Royal Rumble.
Right.
So I kind of eliminate Cena for that. Who does Roman face at WrestleMania, right? Because you know how wrestling is. You work backwards, right?
Right.
So do you go Roman Cody 3? I don't know if you do that. Do you go Roman Cena? I don't know if that's necessarily like, who do you do? It's got to be Roman Rock, right? So Roman Rock, Drew McIntyre cost Roman winning because The Rock sent him after him, right? So it's Roman Rock there. Let's just play devil's advocate there. Who does Seth Rollins face? Does he face Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship to reclaim the title that he made famous? Okay. Where does that leave John Cena, right? Maybe John Cena goes after Gunther, right? Maybe that's that aspect of it.
I think that makes sense.
That does make sense. I think CM Punk is either going to go against Seth Rollins or he's going to go against Cody Rhodes. But the reason why I'm veering away from him and Seth Rollins is, why would you have that match at WrestleMania when it was just the main event of First Raw on Netflix? So that means Seth is going to have to go somewhere else. Does Seth wrestle a 3-way match with Sammy and KO? I think that would be good. I think that would be entertaining. So I think all roads lead back to CM Punk winning the Royal Rumble against and then going on to WrestleMania to face Cody Rhodes, because that's a big name. It's a big matchup, the history with AEW. And he finally gets his main event. Like, that's one of those things where main event night 1 is going to be that. Main event night 2 is, is it good? It's got to be Roman Rock, right? If that's the way they're going to go. But let's say Roman doesn't face The Rock. Who does he face?
Right. And, like you're alluding to here is that, whoever wins this, it has to be some kind of marketable, match that you can play up, 2 months, more than 2 months until Mania.
That's why I think it got to be, it's one of 3 people. Well, I say one of 3 people that we know of. It's going to be Roman. It's going to be John Cena. It's going to be CM Punk.
Right.
It's not going to be, I don't think it'll be Rollins, McIntyre, Sami Zayn, Jey Uso.
Right.
I don't think it's going to be any of the guys. The wild card out of this whole thing is Brock Lesnar, because I feel like if Brock Lesnar comes in and he wins, he challenged Gunther, because that's what they wanted to do last year. I think that makes a lot of sense. Then you leave a whole lot of things open for the other.
Yeah, all bets are off
match.
then.
All bets are off. And I really hope that they do that, because I think it opens things up for everybody else. Because I don't know about you, but I think Gunther's lost a little bit of steam. I don't respect the hell out of the guy, but his promos are falling flat. I know he wasn't going to lose to Jey Uso, but I think everybody wanted to see Jey Uso win that.
Yeah.
But he's another guy. Like, what does he do?
Right.
Because I think you could argue nobody's hotter in the WWE right now than Jey Uso. Like, he comes out there, no better entrance. He puts on incredible matches. He's got such a connection with the crowd. And as well as anybody, it's about evoking emotions. Somebody asked me the other day, what do you think of Logan Paul? Is he getting booed? Is that good heat or bad heat? I go, that's tremendous heat. If you're getting booed to the fact where they don't want to hear what you have to say. This isn't Hulk Hogan, apathetic. Oh God, this mother, this is Logan Paul, The New Day, Dominic Mysterio. Those 3 right there. Like,
right. Absolutely.
That's heat, bro. That's bad guys. I don't want everybody to be a cool heel. I think that's lame as hell. Give me a guy that people hate. Logan Paul, who does he wrestle? Because he's going to be in a marquee match. Is he going against Bad Bunny? Is Logan Paul going against, would he be a guy that you throw in the mix? Logan Paul, John Cena at WrestleMania. Like, if he doesn't wrestle for the title, it's got to be a huge name. And I don't know if you saw, did I tell you about the thing on Roku with John Cena? Have you heard about it?
No.
Do you have Roku at all?
I don't have Roku.
Okay. Well, I'm going to try to find a way.
That's like the one thing I don't have.
You got to check it out. So Roku's got this new show with John Cena, and it's called What Drives You. And he goes to people's houses and checks out their cars and like hangs out with them for the day. And the 4 episodes that came out, the first one was Logan Paul. And it was freaking awesome down in Puerto Rico. And they had so much respect for each other. Logan Paul said something like, after the fact, like, I don't want to hurt John Cena. He's too old. And then he went to go see Jelly Roll in Nashville. He went to go see The Miz in LA. And then the other one was, the best one, Travis Barker from Blink-182, the drummer from Blink-182. And they made a song, like John Cena was rapping. Like, it was phenomenal. It was great.
I think I've actually seen a clip of that one.
You got to see that. It was so good. But yeah, him and his chemistry with Logan Paul was like, wow, this could make a lot of sense. So maybe it's something like that. Do you think Cena breaks the world Ric Flair's record during this streak, during this run?
I don't know. We've got till when? So we've got till
December.
Till December. So you got Slam, you've got
Survivor Series.
I mean, you kind of, if you're going to build it up like this, I think it's more than just as much as like it's being peddled as this. It's more than a goodbye tour. You know, I think you've got to kind of make that work somehow. I don't know how it does. And
you got to capitalize every single time you have to capitalize on it.
Yeah. So I think so. I think if you're gonna put this much into it, you've got to give you know what we want. As much as we want the emotion, we want the reward too, right?
Right.
So, and, as much as like everyone wants Jey Uso to win, eventually that's going to fall flat, right? If Jey keeps losing, eventually that's going to fall flat. Like you said about Gunther, like as great as he is, like there is a level there where like we're kind of waiting for what is that next level for him, and I do agree that he's kind of, but with Cena, I think you've got to give him what they want, and that's him, holding a belt up, one more time. So, yeah.
Ed, what do you got coming up over on TampaBay.com/sports and over at the Tampa Bay Times?
Yeah, what are we doing? Well, I mean, soon we're going to be having some features and coming about the Four Nations. I had a good talk with John Cooper this morning about what it means to him to be the coach of Team Canada, and obviously I've sat down with some of the guys who are going to play. We talked to Victor Hedman this morning about being named the captain of Team Sweden. I actually had to catch up with Victor, and after we talked to him, I pulled him aside. I was like, I've got to make sure this is right, because I was looking on his career resume, and I was like, this would be your 10th major international tournament representing Sweden. He was like, no, I think it's 9. I was like, okay, bear with me here. Let's count these. And I have my phone out, and we're like, same day, World Juniors, World Championships, World Cups, stuff like that. And then obviously for Victor, the main thing is as much as everyone's excited about Four Nations, it's about the Olympics. It's amazing that a guy like that, who represents Team Sweden, in 10 different things, and he still hasn't played in the Olympics. Obviously, there's been this big break with the Olympics, but I think that's so exciting for some of these guys. The preamble is kind of this Four Nations thing, which is awesome because it's the best on best. And I think all those guys, just talking to a lot of them, they're so excited. I think it's hard sometimes for us to understand how much it means to represent your country. Some of these things for these guys. So hopefully I'll get to some of that in these stories. But I think that's going to be a big thing. Obviously, we have the break coming up. So, what is it? Like four more home games, and then a back-to-back on the road, and then that Four Nations tournament. So we'll be busy doing some of that stuff. Today we have a story on Gage Gonsalves, and kind of, he's not going to solve their problems, but he's here for a reason. He's here to try to help them, with that depth scoring, and kind of looking into whether he can do that. Like I said, he's not going to save the farm or anything like that. But if you can get him playing a certain way, it definitely can help. And this is the time when you look at those guys. You look at the prospects that you've got down there and see if they can help you. So you have a better idea of what you do need going into that 2 weeks before the trade deadline on March 7th.
How Gage can solve the issues for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Don't worry, folks. I'll be here all night. I will be here all night. And so will he. At Eddie in the Yard, Twitter/X. Go again. Support local. We had Rick Stroud on with us earlier today at Encina.
Wait, you had Stroud on?
Yeah, we had Stroud on. I was able to lasso him, bring him on.
Wow, that's a big get.
Listen, you tell your editors at the Tampa Bay Times, I don't know if anybody's promoting you guys as much as I am. All right? I love you guys over there. Topkin's been on too. Trying to get John Romano, but I just got to get him to say hi to me first. Got Colleen right on. I love the Tampa Bay Times. Everybody over there. Support local guys and gals. I can't say it enough. Subscribe today to the Tampa Bay Times. Every little bit helps. Eduardo Encina. Eduardo, the Big Oos, joins us every Thursday here at 1:30. Appreciate it, buddy. Enjoy your next hour without me annoying you, and you'll see me in my crazy ass shoes in a bit.
All right, Jay. Make sure they're charged up.